The Dodgers and Blue Jays, they are back at it tonight. Pre-game is at 6. Game starts at 7 right here on Fox 32 Chicago. Well, something you probably didn't know, this is really wild and incredible at the same time. Google Gemini AI is being used in the World Series. And to talk about this real innovation, we have Anil Jain, who is with Google Cloud, has been working on this project. Anil, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Let's talk about this. What exactly is happening that Google Gemini AI is being used during the World Series?
Oh, it's actually fascinating. You know, Major League Baseball, and for all the baseball fans out there of this great American pastime, they know that data and statistics about baseball are, you know, an equally important part of the game as watching the sport itself. And what's happening right now is our friends at Fox Sports, the anchors that actually produce the broadcast, spend hours with their teams, their production teams, doing a lot of research, preparing interesting stats, and thinking about what could possibly happen so that while the game is happening, they can tell great, rich stories. Now they don't need to spend hours doing this. They can actually use Fox Foresight, which is something Fox Sports built on top of Google Cloud's AI platform and uses Gemini to actually get a bunch of data on even the smallest details of all the games that have happened before. It's trained on many seasons of MLB games and World Series performances so that the anchors can actually pull a statistic that they've just thought of and say, you know, how many left-handed batters have done the following, for example, and they can pull that up in seconds and then use that as they're telling the story and entertaining all of the fans that are watching the game.
So, Anil, let me make sure I'm understanding this, and hopefully I have this right, or you could walk me through it. So are
Sure.
they using this like in real time? Like how I'm talking to you, they're talking out and they're asking the question and it pops up on a screen? Or is this a situation where maybe your co-anchor is talking and you have that question, you type it in real quick and you get the answer? How does it go from conceptualized in your mind to asking, you know, AI to then making it onto live TV?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it any of those ways, but I think probably most likely what's happening is when they know the lineup, they know what's happening, or they watched a play, and they or their production team is asking the question or engaging with Fox Foresight, built on Google Cloud's Vertex AI, and getting the information back. And they probably want to do that just so they can then read it and be able to turn around and talk about it, as opposed to like read it off a screen. So it's still within seconds. But you know, they're phenomenal anchors and they do a great job. And so, you know, part of it is the art of telling the story, but now it's, you know, rich with all the data that they're getting real time from Gemini.
So I have to ask, I would think that there had to be someone that it was their job to put in some of these statistics, some of the history, some of the player stats, right? In order for that to then be able to be all collected together to give, you know, the commentator something. Is that right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I mean, I think traditionally you have teams working on this and preparing, but the thing to think about is that during the actual game, when something amazing happens, it goes for 18 innings, or there's some incredible play or situation that arises, to be able to find information pertaining to what story you want to tell or what you want to understand about that specific moment, you know, is not something you can prepare in advance. You have to do that on the spot. And so you were often reliant on just the, you know, the historical knowledge that these enthusiasts and these anchors had in their brains, right, from all the time that they've been involved in the game. Now they can actually enhance that because they or their teams sitting there live can actually pull this information right to their fingertips.
You know, Anil, when we talk about AI, a lot of people get nervous, right? They're like, oh,
Sure.
It's going to put me out of a job. In your opinion, and based on what you've seen specifically within this project, how do you feel like it makes people's jobs better? It makes you better when you're able to deliver, you know, precise information that maybe, you know, looking 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, we wouldn't have had this type of technology available to us.
Tia, I think that's a great question. I think it's a really important one. Look, I think that when we think about AI and all the capabilities that it brings to bear, it's democratizing um, the power of so much research and analytics and insights, and bringing it to everybody, so that they can actually do a better job of telling their stories or expand the canvas of creativity, if you will. And one of my good friends is actually an executive vice president at Fox Sports, and we worked on many things over the years together, especially with the introduction of AI into how Fox Sports is leveraging technology to do a better job. And when asked the question about how do you assess the value and the impact, he says, the real question is, what value can you put on making your product, in this case, a sports broadcast, better, right? And so I think when it comes down to the individual, whether they're an editor or a producer, they're involved in some other part of producing a sports broadcast. The reality is it gives them a lot more richness to kind of the set of tools that they have to not spend hours and hours in kind of tedious research trying to find information that may not be available to them, but they can really focus a lot more on the creativity of, hey, this is really exciting. How do I enhance what just happened with more information, or more details, or even more, video or imagery that would actually make the audience experience better? And I think that is rewarding not only for the audience who, the fans who are watching the game and listening to the broadcast, but also the people doing the work, because they are able to spend their energy and their time on the things that are more exciting and more fulfilling to them as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Because I can't tell you, especially like I'm not on the sports side, but when it comes to like political season, you're delving into all of these like facts about things that you got to dig in the crates on some of this stuff. And do some real research, when you're right, you could have been spending your time maybe doing something else. I do have a question for you. So I know on a small scale, it is being tested about AI calling balls and strikes, and I wanted to get your opinion on that. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And every sports league out there, much like any other industry, is going to have to make sure they put the right, quality factors in place, and they'll have to evaluate what's right for them. I will say this, that Major League Baseball has been at the forefront of innovation and using video and data capture and AI in their games for years, to be able to actually get lots of information from multiple cameras around every stadium and be able to process that for a variety of things. So they're not strangers to this. I think the question now is one more of kind of policy, right? And that is, how are you using AI, and what will you allow AI to be used for? And I imagine that many things like this, like the example you're providing, is one where it'll be AI augmenting what human referees and assessments are done, as opposed to replacing humans, right? And so it'll be like the human referee and the AI tool set working together to have the better outcome of more accurate balls and strikes.
I know we're talking about the MLB today, but has there been any conversation about other sports, NBA, NFL, soccer, heck, swimming, for crying out loud? Has there been any conversations about AI being used in those sports, or is it already happening and we're just not maybe as publicly aware of it?
Yeah, I think all major sports are actively looking at. They've been, very technology forward, right? I mean, if you think about what we're doing right now, we're using digital technology and video, to provide this interview and this content in a streaming fashion, right? All of this is kind of predicated on the same infrastructure and cloud and networking technology, which actually is enhanced by AI behind the scenes. And every sports league, and I've been in many conversations myself, and my team has been with many leagues, and not just in the U.S. but globally, have been looking at enhancing the way they provide delightful audience experiences, how they tell the stories, how they broadcast, how they provide content after the games are done. And I think you'll see more and more, including in the Olympics coming up.
All right, it's going to be very interesting. Who knows? Maybe next there will be a Tia Ewing version of AI that will be sitting here doing this show. Anil Jain, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your insight on all of this.
It was my pleasure.